setting a proper motivation, which comes in 3 parts: refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize, which has Buddha Shakyamuni, that's Holiness of Dalai Lama, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Maitreya, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Thara, Arya Kashapani, Arya Geshe Lharampa, Arya Shantideva, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, Bodhicaryavatara, Acharya Nagarjuna, Arya Sangha, Acharya Vasubandhu, Acharya Dinaka, Acharya Dharmakirti, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhicarya Shantideva, Bodhicarya Shantideva, Acharya Kamashi, Lama Selimba, Lama Deshadika Shri Gyana, Guru Padmasambhava, Sajjan Kumayango, Sajjan Pandita, Geshe Lharampa, Geshe Lharampa, Geshe Marpa, Geshe Nela, Geshe Tapohaji, Lama Tsongkhapa, Gyaltsen Rinpoche, Gyaltsen Rinpoche. Whole space in front of you is filled with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And how do you visualize them? They are like your very affection parents, and imagine that you come home demoralized, and your parents are waiting there with you for love, affection, attention, and embrace. Buddha the field. Visualize your true parents on your true signs, and all your family members, including your children, and everyone here in Bangalore, the human beings, the animals, insects, god and goddesses, the spirits, hungry wolves, hell beings, and everyone in India, everyone in the entire world, and in the entire universe. And how you visualize them, that makes no difference. That you are the mother, and all others are like your children. Imagine that children means somebody who cannot see far away, and because of self-grasping and self-centered attitude, they become so short-sighted, and because of which they engage in activities, they engage in deeds, which only trap them in samsara and create more suffering on them. So therefore, out of incredibly great compassion and love and compassion towards them, and for them, you are the only hope. So with this in mind, the whole Dhamma practice, Seedling Sutra, is for that purpose, how to help them by activating the Buddha nature inside us. Why the Buddha nature is not in a manifest state yet? It's because of the mental developments. What kind of mental developments? Like gold when mixed with the soil, the gold is not visible. Likewise, what kind of mental developments which obscure this beautiful Buddha nature from having the potential, from having the power to benefit all such beings? These developments are of 2 kinds, the gross and subtle. Gross referred to as afflictive obscurations, and subtle referred to as the cognitive obscurations. The gross one is the presence of which stops us from achieving fearlessness, and the subtle one stops us from achieving infinite happiness, referred to as Buddhahood. And the gross one is of 3 kinds: contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds. And all these 3 hover around self-grasping impediments. And the counterforce to this is only the wisdom of emptiness. This wisdom of emptiness, driven by the force of renunciation, will help us to get rid of this cross afflictions or the afflictive obscurations. And the subtle one, the cognitive obscurations. The remedy remains the same, the wisdom of emptiness, but the driving force must be extremely powerful. It is none other than the bodhicitta. And this bodhicitta must be supported by great compassion and grounded on renunciation, so that with aspiration to cultivate, generate, and enhance, boost the wisdom of emptiness, driven by force of bodhicitta, supported by great compassion, grounded on renunciation, lead to forward praise, and imagine that all such makes a journey with this journey. Page 3. And here by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted beliefs, to you the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. And here by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted beliefs, to you the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. And here by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted beliefs, to you the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. Sangye Choe Sogye Chonama Sanju Bhagdo Dame Gyatsu Shi Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamye Tola Geshe Sangye Rupa Shu Sangye Choda Sogye Chonama Sanju Bhagdo Dame Gyatsu Shi Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamye Tola Penjere Sangye Dubala Shu Sangye Joda Sogye Jonama Chanjo Bando Dharye Gyatsu Shu Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamye Tola Penjere Sangye Dubala Shu. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by the accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I proceed to the bosom of the Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught us peace, which is freedom of apparitions. I proceed to the bosom of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking preservation of complete peace, who through the knowledge of past losses have migrated to the true beings in the world, and who through the possession of omniscient self-subduers expounded a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the beloved guide, motivated by teachings of benefit sentient beings. The teachers, God and protector, to you are make restorations. The one who has eliminated the love of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth forever noble light rays. To you the Buddha make restorations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I can provide full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashamanaye Swa Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and has the nature of space. It's also the apprehension of Vyasa's wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times idea of essence. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena of the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. A book for appreciation of the Guru. By the sound of the white and Dharma, you liberate all beings and entities. I beseech you to kindly remain in deep teachings until your end respect has been placing yours. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he leave them into his pious hands. His spiritual realization is not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With 4 hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all living in misery's world. If you attach to this one, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you attach to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you attach to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Page 14. To the founder, the endowed transcendence in Choe, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the complete and full awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the secure from the shaking man, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When those supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you pace our 7 strikes, then 7 supreme in this world. To you who are wise that I prostrate. In pure body is form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, free of places the 3 worlds, winner of best, all to you are prostrate. With supreme science based on its spotless moon, color like gold to you are prostrate. Dusty like you, the 3 worlds are not, incompatible wise one to you are prostrate. The sacred and great compassion, the founder of having all understanding, and feel of light with qualities like vast ocean, to you the Bodhicaryavatara prostrate. The purity that frees one from the attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, one part, the sublime pure reality, the Dharma that pacifies are prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path of liberation, both qualified with realizations, but go through the moral precepts, to you the Sangha are prostrate. Do not commit any virtuous actions, perform all imperfect virtuous actions. Satya Jnana Bharati, this is the teaching of Buddha. A star, a vision aberration, a film of the illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream of flesh lighting a cloud, the condition things inside. Vision attain the rank of all seeing, subdue 4 folds, and be delivered from samsara bush, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Sutra, page 29. Yes, we said the House Sutra, the 3 points not to miss. Point 1, what is the question asked by Sheriputra to Arya Nagarjuna? How should Acharya lineage practice the professional wisdom? And then the response given by Arya Nagarjuna, that is, how to see yourself as a dream. And then finally, what's the benefit of practicing as indicated by Arya Nagarjuna? I prostrate to the Arya Nagarjuna. Thus there yet one time, the Buddhas who dwell on the master Vajra's mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on all the categories of phenomena for profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Master, Arya Nagarjuna, looked upon the very practice of profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those sacred gates also as actually inherent nature. Then from the God of the Buddha, the Venerable Sheriputra said this to the Bodhisattva Master, Arya Nagarjuna, how should any child lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom train? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Master, Arya Nagarjuna, said this to the Venerable Sheriputra, Shariputra, any son of the lineage, daughter of the lineage, who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom, should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five elements also as intervening in nature. Form is empty, empty is the form. Empty is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, creating discrimination, comes the factors and consciousness is empty. Shariputra, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics, unproduced, unseen, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no common-sense factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no vision form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no phenomena. And so on up to it, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to it, including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation of part. There is no dissolving wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, a mind without obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the Tibetans also manifestly completely awakened, unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment to the learning source of perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, mantra equal to Khor, the mantra that taught and purifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared, Yatha Om Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Buddha arose with further concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Nagarjuna, saying, well said, Sampadini, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you indicated, even the Padavas is your choice. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Buddha.
Om
teachings of the three supreme jewels present the power of truth. May in and out of this be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all our forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obscures be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all joys be part of the Dharma, the auspicious of perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, we will do three principal parts, or the three aspects of being. Okay, where is it? Okay, it's here, page 77. Page 77. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Buddha, a path prized by the converted children, entrance for those who desire liberation. This will declare in mind, you fortunate ones, while not attached to the joys of secular existence. Try to make good use of leisure opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddhas. Without pure renunciation and an end to attraction for the pleasure of secular existence is unattainable. The craving for existence also finds means. Thus from Lao says, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life, but reflect on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of the karma and its effects, and the misery of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of secular existence, and remain intent on liberation, bear in mind renunciation is born on your death. However, renunciation, if not tempered by a pure mind of bodhicitta, will not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the wise ones generally the excellent mind of bodhicitta, swept up in the current of the four powerful rivers, tired of the strong bonds of karma so hard to undo, caught in the iron of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in limitless cycling existence, ceaselessly tormented by the dreaming sleeps. Although you train in renunciation and the body of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realize is ultimate reality, you cannot come to the secular existence. Therefore, strive to understand the dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and is also full focuses of apprehension as enter the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearances are infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddhas. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping to a definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence. Emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When I understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, though not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the points of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination, and quickly reach the nirvana is highest goal. Okay, page 37. Page 37. 7 in puja, 7 practice. I bow down to the youthful Arya Nagarjuna. You the Buddhas, the lights amongst humans, born of freedom in the present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions. To all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms in the world, to all you Buddhas visualize as real, I bow down. On every particle of Buddhas numberless as atoms, each among the souls of Bodhisattvas, and confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. With the infinite oceans of praise for you, and oceans of sound from the essence of voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you Sukhatas. Beautiful flowers in river gardens, sweet music, scented walls and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense, offered to tourists from the Buddhas. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, simple power heat high as Mount Meru. All one's offerings a spectacular array, offered to the tourist ones. With transcendent offerings, careless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strong conviction in the Bodhisattva way, offer and bow down to all the tourist ones. Every harmful action I have done with my body's vision mind, all overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and confusion. All these are openly laid bare before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merit of the Buddhas of the Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers here still training, and those beyond, of all ordinary beings. You who are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions, who have attained the Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening. All you who are my guides, please tell the supreme will of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actualize Parinirvana. Please stay with us for eons, numberless as atoms of the world. Welcome of all wonders in samsara. Whatever sliding matters I may have accumulated by making of frustrations, offering and confessing, rejoicing in the blessing that the Buddha's daily teach, I now dedicate all this for the full awakening of all beings. This ground unknownly perfumed, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha filled with offering. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. May I be blessed that my Dharma practices on the proper path. May I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. May I be blessed that the flaws are seen in light with solid wisdom. Becoming utterly frustrated with ignorance that grasps with true existence, please bless with a genuine renunciation.
See more aspects of samsara as we should see it.
Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious bodhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me to have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality, only for understanding how things come into being by depending origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Edam Guru Radha Menda Lakvam Nirateyami. Foundation of Noble Qualities, page 42. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind of perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By daily seeing this and applying great effort, please bless that rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtues and non-virtues come and follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all precious deeds. Samsara splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me with generous strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Everybody's pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great motion arise. The root of the teaching is keeping to Pradimsha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Thus I have fallen into the samsara, so all other my greater beings. Please bless me to see this trained supreme bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing my greater beings. Even if I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I'll never achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition,
please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with
great energy. Once I have exercised distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly with my mind stream, a unified path of karma by specialist life. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gates of the fortunate ones, a supervisor of Venerable. At that time, the basis accomplishment to attendance is keeping pure vows in Samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and bless life and life. And having realized the importance of the 2 stages, essence Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never give up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of Holy Guru. and that made gurus who showed the noble path, and especially friends who practiced long lives. These blessed will pacify completely all outer alien hindrances. In all my lives, never separate from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities and stations in the past, and could attain the mystery of Vajradhara. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of long reverential compassion, a Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of those who demons without exception. About crown jewel, the sage of 11 snows of Santampai, and the feet and make prostrations. First 5 minutes breathing meditation, or whatever meditation you like to do, particularly for stillness meditation, single-point meditation. Okay, next renunciation on the basis of the 4 C's is going to be guided meditation. Renunciation. The meaning of renunciation is to renounce the miseries, renounce the fears of life. People have a very naive understanding. Buddhism emphasizes renunciation. Renunciation is to renounce all the good things. This is not really the connotation. It's to renounce miseries, renounce the fears of life. To renounce the fears of life, we first of all need to know how the fears of life come into being. Ye dharma he guru. All this phenomena, particularly the phenomena of fears, miseries, they arise from the causes. Unless until we deal with causes, we cannot get rid of the problems altogether. So to deal with the causes, to eradicate causes, the Buddha indicated 4 misperceptions responsible for the cause of the miseries, responsible as causes for the miseries. And finally, it is a self-grasping appearance. But we should also take care of the grosser misperceptions as well. First seal. All composite things impermanent. The misperception to be tackled is misperception, misperceiving, impermanent phenomena to be permanent by realizing the first seal. All composite things impermanent. Composite things here refer to anything which is composed of material particles, material parts, or the temporal parts. Temporal parts meaning parts in time. Like body which constitutes of the temporal parts as well as material parts. And a mind which constitutes of the temporal parts. It doesn't have the material parts. And our self, the person I, am consisted of both parts, temporal as well as physical. So whatever is constituted of the temporal parts and physical parts should necessarily be impermanent. And the impermanence of the 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross referring to impermanent phenomena where the continuation comes to an end. For example, the beautiful days which we experience, which each one of us experience in our life, so happy, so jovial, so full of light, everybody smiling. They're gone. And the Buddha said, the Buddha taught, all that is accumulated will end in exhaustion. All that stands will end in falling. All that's gathered will end in separation. All that is born ends in death. This is reality. And it's very true. 200 years ago, there were people, there was this world, perhaps the 5 billion human beings. Today, where are these human beings? Where are they? To identify who they are, maybe if you track the history, you'll be able to identify only a handful of the people, but they are, imagine us, 5 billion human beings. Well, we're all there. They're all gone. None of you remembered. No clue who they were. They're all gone. Likewise, 200 years down the line in the future, the 7 billion human beings who are existing today will not be existing then. Not even a single person is going to be there. That is guaranteed. Even the newborn child today will not survive then. All will be gone. Whether our plans, the plans your parents have on you, expectations your parents have on you, you have your own expectations, and all these children, whether their expectations are met, not met, careers, plans, accomplished, not accomplished, if we want to go, we're going to go along with these plans, careers, and expectations. They're all going to disappear. This is impermanence. And this cross impermanence marked by the cessation of continuum. For that to happen, there must be the underlying momentariness involved, which is known as the subtle impermanence, momentariness. For the change that you see over this stretch of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, is possible only if there is a change happening annually. Change happening on the annual basis must be happen only if there is a change happening on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, minute by minute basis, second basis. The change that you see on second on the days on the basis of the second is so visible. And this is exactly how our body is changing, how all the composite phenomena are changing, how our mind is changing, how the world is changing. This is reality. All composite things in power means the change that you see, which never remains static, the second hand, which moves from the one dot to the second dot, within a span of 1 second, which is so visible to our eyes. This is how our body is moving. This is how our mind is moving. This is how ourselves are moving. This is how your friends are moving. This is how this whole building is moving. How this India is moving. How the whole world is moving. How the entire universe is moving. And so the change that you see on the second level is possible only if there's change happening on the millisecond level. What's the change? What's that like, the change happening on the millisecond level? Just press the button of the timer. See how this 1 second split into 100 divisions, or the 10 divisions, moves so fast. If this is how it moves, what dimension of this a second split into 1,000 milliseconds is so fast. This is exactly how our body moves, how our mind moves, and all composite phenomena, this is how they move so fast. That's true. This is what the Buddha indicated. The meditation on impermanence is the supreme. The supreme of all the footprints is the footprint of the elephants. The supreme of all the meditations is the meditation on impermanence. This is the reason. This is how we are moving so fast. And this is reality. Where we see things as so static, our body is so static, this hall, so static, your friends, so static. It's not true, it's all deception. It's moving so fast. The more we think about this, the more we realize we be in terms of how all composite phenomena are moving so fast. Imagine that somebody at the train station picks you up and throws you in a very fast moving train. What's the experience? So much of fear. Fast moving train moves more to fear. Why? We don't know where this train is taking us. And who decides where this train is taking us? Is the driver. Either the driver or the person under whose influence the driver is working. If the driver is some other, no doubt, the train will take you to the pick spot, but if the driver is a kidnapper or terrorist, no doubt will take us only to the slaughterhouse or the torture chamber. Unfortunately, in that case, my driver's a mind, but his mind, our mind, the driver-led mind, is under the sway, under the control of the two demons, of the two contaminations. Most of the two contaminations, self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude. As long as we are under the sway of these two contaminations, we will never be happy. They will only take us to miseries. This is what Buddha indicated as all contaminated things are of suffering nature. Suffering like what? Sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, for any reasons. The pain of losing near dear ones, the pain of losing what you like, and the pain of encountering what is undesirable. These mark what our existence is. And one moment of such tragedy, one moment of such pain is good enough to nullify all the past moments of the merriments, festivities, anniversaries, celebrations, parties. Then we realize they are all so shallow, they are all so deceptive. Had it been the case that I instead of being sucked up in these merriments and so forth, if I spend those days in meditation on permanence, meditation on bodhicitta, meditation on wisdom of emptiness, by now the situation would have been different. I would have gained such a confidence in my life, no fear of death, no fear of encountering any unconducive factors. Never mind. Never mind. Now, at least now we've realized this. How can we bring an end to this unending suffering, otherwise unending suffering? When will this come to an end? 2018 came to an end on its own. When will such a time be there that all these miseries will come to an end on their own? No way. Until we put effort, impermanence of three kinds. One, whose continuum invariably comes to an end, whether we put an effort or not put effort. Second class, no matter how much we put effort, we will continue, will never come to an end. For example, time, the self, the mind. Some people come to suicide thinking that this is the end of the self, therefore the end of the miseries. Not at all, no way. This is so unwise. It's all because of level of awareness of reality. And third category, where if you put effort, the continuum of the object comes to an end. Where if you don't put effort, the object will continue endlessly, like the sufferings, like the miseries, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, afflictions, contaminant karmas, inappropriate attention. Okay, how can we bring an end to all these? If we really want to bring an end to all these miseries, we have to exterminate the final root, which is the self-grasping ignorance. How to get rid of that? By introducing a kind of force. What kind of force? What is that kind of force? The wisdom to see the emptiness nature of all phenomena. Wisdom to see that nothing relates us objectively. How can I get it? Okay, let's meditate on the emptiness of your friend. Yesterday we did the emptiness of yourself. Today we'll do the emptiness of someone who you love so much. Your mother, father, your child, your husband, your wife, your friends, anybody. You just pick up one. How does this person appear to you? Like a dream? Where your dream contents are created by your mind is projecting the dream. or like a movie, the movie projector, or so independent, nothing to do with the projector and mind, so independently there. Of course, so independently there. This is known as a self-grasping appearance. We will be that person to be so objectively real there, and you believe in it, you apprehend that this person does exist objectively. This is known as self-grasping ignorance. How can I know that this is not valid mind? How can I know that this is ignorance? Yes, remember what Arya Nagarjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, let us all say this 3 times together. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? In a similar token of reasoning, if this person to whom I love so much, if this person were to exist objectively, why do I see this person as I go closer to this object? Okay, let us now go closer to this object. Going closer to this object, just as we go closer to us from where the water is seen, where the water is seen, we're closer to the place where the water is seen. It was totally dry. You conclude that what I earlier saw as water was deceptive, it was mirage. Likewise, by going closer towards this object from where the person appeared, if I realize that the person is empty, then the conclusion can be drawn. Then the conclusion is that what I earlier saw as the person so objectively real, that is deceptive. The person only exists subjectively, totally empty of objective reality. Okay, let us go closer to this object. Going closer to the object, we see that there's just a thin layer of the skin of the person. Of course, that is not that person. We are only interested in this person, objectively existent. Anything which is not that person, simply we ignore. Okay, ignore this thin layer of the skin. Behind that is the fatty tissues. Of course, that is not that person, but that person is so appealing, the fatty tissues are so repulsive to look at. Keep that aside. Behind that, muscles, cartilages, and the flesh. Of course, not so repulsive to see that. Keep that aside. Behind that, the skeleton, the bone marrow, and the blood vessels. Of course, they are so scary to look at. And this person is so appealing to me, not at all scary. In contrast, it's so appealing. But the skeleton, if that skeleton, even though the skeleton is that person's skeleton, if the skeleton alone, separate comes to me, it will be so scary, so frightening. Okay, ignore that. Not heart, the lungs, the brain, the skull, gallbladder, liver, spleen, pancreas, kidney, stomach. None of these is this person, of course, no. Keep them aside. So these solid parts constitute element earth. And earth is not this person. Next element water. The blood which is pumped in and out by the heartbeat of the person's body. Of course, element water is not me, not this person, keep that aside. Element fire, the body heat of this person. We can see this person. We cannot see this body heat from distance. And the body heat arises, it increases and decreases. The person doesn't increase or decrease. Even the element fire is also not that person, keep that aside. And then air that this person breathes in and out, of course, this is not the person, keep that aside. And the space, the person said that the person is solid in nature, the space is vacuum in nature, but the space is also not that person, keep that aside. What is left now? The consciousness of the mind. This person is male, this person is female. The gender is posited on the basis of the body. Gender has nothing to do with the consciousness. And I can see this person, I cannot see this person's consciousness. So this consciousness is also not this person, keep that aside. What is left now? Nothing's left there. To my amazement, to my surprise, there's nothing there. I saw the person so object real, so object real from the object. Now I've come too close to this object. Nowhere is this self. I'm deceived. Stay in this experience. The self is nowhere to be seen. Not one with the parts, not one with 6 elements, no different from the 6 elements. Nothing's there as the self. It's not really there from the object. Stay in this experience. It's amazing. You're so fortunate. You're amazingly fortunate. Yes, this is so profound. Although what I'm doing, the first step, by no means is close to the wisdom of emptiness, actually experience of emptiness. Still, that's very precious. But what's the benefit of this? Yes, of course. Just as this person to whom I love so much is proven to be empty of the object. It's not really the way that person appears to me. Is so empty from the object side. Likewise, all the miseries which really burdens me, which really torments me, which really infest me, seem so objectified there, burdening me, bringing pain in me. When subjected to sin analysis, to my amazement, to my surprise, they're also not there. All this mental disturbance dissolved in this experience of emptiness. The sorrow dissolved in this experience of emptiness. The sorrow is transcended. The moment this mental disturbance stops, non-disturbance, which is peace, soars in me, peace surges in me. It's amazing, extreme peace, absolute peace. This is what the Buddha indicated as the transcendent sorrow is absolute peace. Stay in this experience for a while. Although this experience is very superficial, it doesn't matter. Over time, with extensive study, reflection, meditation, you can experience this in real life. Experience this in real form. This aspiration to reach to this state of the experience of emptiness, where all the sorrows dissolve, this is the final understanding of the renunciation. Just stay in this experience of the aspiration. May I stably experience this emptiness, where all the sorrow is transcended. This aspiration is the genuine, final understanding of renunciation. Okay, slowly come up with this practice. Before we just take a few seconds rest before we switch to the Buddhist practice. Are you ready for the Bodhicitta? Given that this Bodhicitta practice is extremely precious and yet a journey which we never undertook thus far. So this is a very special yet unknown journey. So therefore we need an incredibly great support. And the greatest support that you can think of in this universe is the Triple Gem. So think of the Triple Gem, particularly on Buddhism Bodhisattvas, and the qualities of the Dharma, and the Sangha in the form of the beings who are on this journey, already having embarked on this journey. and already accomplished the consummation of this journey. The Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And they are so affectionate, so loving towards you, never giving up on us. And meanwhile, which was also two parents, all the enlightened being, all your dear mothers, including your children, everyone leaving them aside, the spirits, harmful spirits, hungry ghosts, hell beings, animals, insects, human beings, God and goddesses, everyone in this universe, leaving them aside. What you will do it on the basis of the four immeasurables. One, immeasurable loving kindness. See how much we can invoke the respective experiences and abide in them. Be in the present moment, follow the instructions, disconnect yourself from the past experiences, or stop ruminating over the past experiences, stop anticipating for any future events, disconnect yourself from the five sensory consciousnesses, be in the present moment, follow the instructions, just follow the instructions so seriously, sincerely. Let's see how much you can invoke the respective experiences. Immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear mothers and beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The cause of happiness primarily consisting of the wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta. May all my dear mothers and beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear mothers and beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The Buddhist and Bodhisattvas have been witnessing the living such a courageous commitment that the mother of all these many years of hardship that she went through in raising her children, today, a very young, tender daughter, age 14, very young, tender son, age 13, two of them come to the mother, telling the mother, "Mother, please take rest, you've done everything for us. We're already grown up. I'll take care of my siblings, and I'll also take care of your mother. Mother, you love us so much, we also love you so much. Mother, please take rest." Mother could not believe her eyes, could not believe her ears. But so much of love and affection and the pride she feels makes tears roll down her cheeks. This is exactly what's happened to all Buddhists and Bodhisattvas. Seeing that, witnessing that you are making such a courageous commitment and intensely happy and proud of you, this pride and happiness invoke the compassionate omniscient minds who sent for nectars and will soothing lights with you and all demonstration beings. The mere touch of lights and the nectars with the bottom is yours instills in all happiness and the cause of happiness within the minds of the sentient beings of yourself. And you, witnessing such a miraculous happening towards all the demonstration beings, you're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths silently. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. Causes of suffering primarily consists of self-grasping and a self-centered attitude, along with the offshoots in the form of inappropriate tension, cross afflictions, and the contaminant karmas. May all my dear sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. Ultimate responsibility that all non-human sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such a courageous commitment, their intensely happy and proud view, this pride and happiness invoke their compassionate mission minds, the sense of natures very soothing lights to you and go all human sentient beings. A mere touch of the lights and nectars with the Bodhi's please yours frees the beings from all the miseries and the cause of miseries. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to all the human sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 2 deep breaths, silent relief. Immeasurable joy. How good would it be that all my human sentient beings are never separated from the happiness and the cause of happiness that they are endowed with. May all my dear little sentient beings never be separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they are endowed with. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear little sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they are endowed with. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such a courageous commitment, their intensely happy and proud view, this pride and happiness invoke the compassionate omniscient minds, the sense of nectars of soothing lights towards you and all human sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and nectars with the Bodhi's peace yours stabilizes the happiness and causes the happiness that the beings are endowed with. And you witnessing such a miracle happens towards all the human sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, silent relief. Immeasurable equanimity. How good would it be that all my human sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion towards others, and instead abide in a great state of equanimity, embracing all other human sentient beings equally, leaving none aside. May all my dear sentient beings be freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion towards others. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion towards others. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such a courageous commitment, the intensely happy and proud view, this pride and happiness invoke the compassion of omniscient minds, the sense of nectars of soothing lights to in all human sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and nectars with God's wings in yours frees the beings from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion towards others, making them abide in a great state of equanimity, embracing all other human sentient beings equally, leaving none aside. And you witness such a miraculous happening towards all the human sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, silent relief. underscoring all four measurables, is the unconditional love towards all human sentient beings. Abide in this beautiful unconditional love towards all human sentient beings. Imagining that you're looking at the eyes of each of sentient being, reassuring them, have no fear, I'm there to take care of you. To the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes, with 40 hands, and all the other sentient beings as well, they are joining you in this generating, cultivating, making commitment, a very strong commitment of the most beautiful mind in this world, bodhicitta. Okay, let us all say this 3 times together, all 100 to the best you can. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of bodhicitta into a spotless, clean moon disk, 1 inch or 1.5 inches in diameter, horizontally sitting with the heart. Okay, it's amazing that we made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for the world demonstration beings. But how come? How do you know that you can become a Buddha? What is guaranteed there? Is, of course, unto Buddha nature within me. I don't look for Buddhahood or sign. It's just within me, Buddha nature. But why not? It has not manifested since time immemorial, since the beginner's time to today. Why not? It is manifested. Yes, that's true. It's not because that I was totally deceived by the 2 demons, self-grasping and self-centered attitude. Today I realize I'm disillusioned by these 2. The way I trusted them as the best of my friends, till now, they did nothing really good to me. Look at my state, full of miseries, suffering, sickness, aging, death, anger, and so forth. It's all because of these 2. The 2 of them, while they got time, since beginner's time till today, they never did anything good to me. Today I'm disillusioned. And these 2 just come in the facade of guarding me behind this facade. The 2 only destroys me. The 2 only destroy me. They only bring miseries on me. Today I'm disillusioned. I will do everything to exterminate the 2. How will I exterminate the 2? By resorting to a very powerful remedy, antidote. What antidote? The wisdom of emptiness. Okay, quickly treat the experience of emptiness, which you meditate as the 3rd seal, as a part of the 4 seals. Okay, this person to whom you love so much, see the so objectively solidified there. This person is nothing but made of 6 elements: and earth, fire, water, air, space, and consciousness. Which of the 6 elements is this person? None. What different from 6 elements is that the person? None. Where is this person now from the object? To my dismay, to my surprise. It is not really there, it's empty. Stay in this experience. Transform this fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness into a spotless, clean, white body. Thumb-sized white body, vertically sitting on the Bodhicaryavatara. Amazing. You have the Russian moon symbolizing the conventional bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. The moon symbolizing the conventional bodhicitta. Aspiration to become Buddha for the benefit of all demon sentient beings. To eradicate the self-centered attitude, the demon of self-centered attitude. And the Vajra symbolizing the ultimate bodhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness, which guarantees us that self-grasping ignorance and all subtle stains and the gross stains all will be eradicated by this Vajra. It's amazing. Now it's guaranteed that your Buddha nature will come out. Yes, but then don't forget your two parents, your children, all our family members, all sentient beings are there suffering. What's the point? If they continue to suffer and I experience the fearlessness and the infinite happiness, yes, of course, with incredible love and compassion. Because of the incredible love and compassion resulting in sentient beings, the Vajramuni at your heart multiplies infinite number of times. And share one self Vajramuni with a mother at your heart, one self with your father at his heart, one self with each one of your own children, your family members, everyone here in Bangalore, in this world, in this entire universe. Now all general sentient beings they have Vajramuni. Amazing. That's really amazing. Okay, meanwhile, let us also not forget that the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they are watching us right from the beginning. Yes, of course, why not we request them, invite and request them, the way you request and invite your two parents to be there for your first public appearance as a young, tender young girl, age 5, and tender young son, age 5. Why not you invite all Buddhists? Of course. As a gesture of inviting them and requesting them to be the guests and witness to undertaking the aspiration Bodhisattva ceremony, along with all the other sentient beings, let us slowly stand and make three prostrations to all Bodhisattvas.